The cold rain fell endlessly, soaking the ground and turning the streets into rivers of mud. Among the puddles in the gray sky, a little disabled girl lay helplessly on the ground, shivering, covered in dirt. Her stepmother had thrown her there without a trace of mercy. People passed by, glancing for a second and then looking away, pretending not to see. No one stopped, no one cared. It seemed like kindness had vanished from this world. But that moment was only the beginning of something extraordinary, a moment that would soon touch the hearts of millions. Hello everyone and welcome back to the РусскаяИстория channel, where we share stories that touch the soul, inspire kindness, and remind us what it means to be human. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and like this video, it helps us bring more meaningful stories to life. Now, let's go deeper into this story that shocked an entire city and showed how one man's heart can change everything. The day was dark and heavy with clouds. The sound of rain mixed with the girl's weak cries for help. Her clothes were soaked, her small body trembled from cold and fear. She didn't understand why her stepmother hated her so much, why she had been thrown away like she was nothing. She tried to crawl out of the mud, but her weak legs wouldn't move. Each attempt only made her fall again. Around her, the city moved like a machine, cars splashed by, people hid under umbrellas, and the world stayed blind to her pain. Then, a black luxury car stopped near her. The driver's door opened slowly, and a man in a dark suit stepped out. He was tall, confident, and clearly wealthy. His shoes sank into the mud as he walked toward the girl. Everyone nearby stopped for a moment, whispering in surprise. What was a millionaire doing in a place like this, in the middle of a dirty street, helping a child no one else wanted to notice? But he didn't care about their stares. He kneeled down, ignoring the rain soaking his suit, and gently lifted the trembling girl into his arms. She looked up at him with confusion and fear, not understanding why this stranger was being kind when everyone else had turned away. He carried her to his car and wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. The warmth of his gesture felt like the first sunlight after a long storm. He told his driver to take them to the nearest hospital immediately. On the way, he kept looking at her, his eyes filled with worry. She tried to speak but couldn't. The exhaustion and pain were too much. For the first time in her short life, someone had shown her love without asking for anything in return. At the hospital, the doctors worked quickly. The girl was malnourished and suffering from neglect, but with treatment, she would recover. The millionaire stayed by her side the entire time, paying for everything without hesitation. When the doctors asked if she was his daughter, he simply said, "She is now." Those words carried more meaning than anything else that day. It wasn't just money that saved her life, it was compassion, the kind that money can't buy. Over the next few weeks, he visited her every day. He learned that her mother had died years ago and her father had remarried. The new wife treated the girl like a burden, ashamed of her disability. Eventually, the father passed away, leaving the child alone with the cruel woman who saw her as nothing more than an inconvenience. Hearing this, the millionaire felt something break inside him. He had built a life surrounded by luxury, but he realized he had forgotten what true wealth meant, the ability to make someone's life better. He decided to adopt her legally. It wasn't an easy process, but he used his influence not to show power, but to protect someone who had none. The girl slowly began to smile again. She learned to walk short distances with help, she started drawing, and for the first time, she called someone, Papa. The man who once thought success was measured by numbers now found joy in the sound of laughter echoing through his home. News of his act spread quickly. People who had ignored the girl that day began to question themselves. The story appeared in newspapers, on social media, and became a symbol of kindness. Reporters asked him why he did it, and his answer was simple: "Because I saw her pain, and I couldn't look away." His words touched hearts across the country. He showed that being human is not about what you have, but about what you give. Meanwhile, the stepmother was found and faced the consequences of her cruelty. But the focus of the story wasn't on punishment, it was on redemption, on the power of one person to change another's destiny. The millionaire had not only saved a girl's life, he had reminded an entire community what compassion truly means. Months later, the two were seen together at a charity event for children with disabilities. The girl, dressed in a bright white dress, smiled as she stood beside her adoptive father. She looked stronger, happier, and full of life. When she spoke to the audience, her small voice carried words that silenced everyone. "He didn't just help me, he gave me a reason to live." The hall erupted in applause, and the man beside her couldn't hold back his tears. This story isn't about wealth or fame. It's about a simple truth. Goodness is still alive. We often complain about the world being cruel, but real change begins when one person decides to act with kindness. The millionaire never planned to be a hero. He just followed his heart. And that's what makes this story powerful, the reminder that miracles don't always come with wings or magic. Sometimes, they come in the form of a man who stops his car and chooses to help. As the rain that once symbolized pain now turned into a symbol of cleansing, the city remembered this act. The place where the girl was once abandoned became a spot people visited to leave flowers, not to mourn, but to celebrate hope. It became a reminder that one moment of compassion can outshine a lifetime of indifference. And that's the message this story gives to all of us. No matter how cold the world seems, one act of love can warm it again. No matter how broken someone feels, one kind person can help them stand. We live in a time where everyone rushes, but this story asks us to stop, to look around, and to remember that humanity still matters. So, if you ever see someone in pain, don't turn away. You might not be a millionaire, but your kindness could be priceless. Because in the end, the true measure of our lives isn't what we own, it's the hearts we touch along the way. Thank you for watching this story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to РусскаяИстория for more touching stories that awaken the soul. Let's keep spreading kindness, because sometimes, even a small act of love can create the biggest miracle.